and welcome to this week's vlog. I'm still having some technical issues, which basically means it's going to be a bit harder for me at the minute. So we've not quite got the vlog I wanted. I'm still waiting on my memory card arriving. Don't know why my face is so red today, but it is. So what I'm doing today is I'm looking at some old riding clips from years ago when I was skinny to like last week, and gonna analyze my riding, go through what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and why I'm doing certain things in my ride. It's not going to be super interesting, but some people might find it interesting. Also, my roots are so bad and they shouldn't be. Yeah, hair problems. So yeah, and hopefully you enjoy, and it'll be a bit insightful. And I've also got a couple of fails in there, and I'll be describing exactly why I fail, other than the fact I land straight on the floor. So please enjoy, and yeah, hopefully I give some insight. I'm not a fantastic rider, I'm not going to lie and say I am, but gives you a bit more information about why I do some of the things I do. So the first clip is a course I did with Barney about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. It's about 70 centimetres. He starts off quite well. You can see at the spreads he really backs off, and what I really needed to do was just put a bit more leg on. So he comes around, he's got a related distance here, which he jumps the first part nicely, and he actually makes the second one quite well. Because of his weird canter, he was a bit more difficult to ride, and he does jump slightly to the right, which is also a me issue more than a Barney issue. You can see coming into the spreads, he is backing off them a little bit. Now, doubles were a bit difficult for us because he has his odd canter, so I'd usually let him work it out himself and just ride him into the first part. However, that of course isn't always ideal. And then he does take out this next jump. I just think he didn't lift his legs. So he comes round and he jumps this one quite well. And then he actually, I think he tried to do a flying change, tripped and spooked himself in that corner. So we had to get him going again back over number 10, which he does back off a little bit, but to be fair, he probably needed a bit more leg just to get him going in general. And then back over the double. Now the course did have to be stopped to rebuild the jump that he demolished. So you can see there he's getting a little bit sticky and backing off a bit too. So he needs more leg coming into the first one, but he's jumping out of trot, they're not big. We get our speed going, which is fine. We come over to a double, and he gets the first one okay. I do not set him up for the second one, which then results in this spread being jumped at a weird angle and me ending up on the floor as he dropped his shoulder. To be honest, we both just said no here, and he put in a stop. Not surprised. This time you can see he just lacked confidence. He jumps this nicely, he just kind of needs a bit more leg to stop him breaking. So what I'm actually doing with this clip with Barney is riding him with no hands. To be honest, I don't know why, except I think I wanted to get him to calm down and to bend a bit more off my leg in my seat. Can't really say if it really worked or not, but you could ride him with no hands, and I could actually canter him and everything one-handed. And there's his little face, which I miss so much. My little pony. Look at his little nose. Bless him. So this is possibly one of the last times I ever jumped him, if not the last time I ever jumped him. So it's about 2-3 years old. He comes in sticky to that fence, and I should have pushed him more, and we'd been having issues at this fence, and he does a similar thing if he comes in a bit sticky, but I was glad he jumped it. So next is Indy. She is a horse I had on loan, I think 2 years ago over summer, and this is when I first got her. So you can see she's very rushed, and in her canter she doesn't really step out and stretch herself, and her head's up quite a lot. That's why I'm actually in standing canter, just to sort of get off her back and see if that helps her kind of stretch herself out a bit more. She's very collected, and you can see she rushes, her head is up, and she is quite lazy and did need a lot of leg, but you can see she is starting to soften down and come round. Now I do probably need an extra hole or two in my stirrups and drop them down a little bit more, but when I'm doing standing work I find it easier to go a bit shorter, and I have to as well try not to balance too much on her mouth. And this actually really helped Indy to build herself up and begin to stretch herself out in her canter, because by the time I'd finished with her, she had a beautiful canter, and we were able to get a bit of extension, counter canter, all sorts of things, and you can see her starting to soften there. She does need to be pushed forward a bit more, but I'd only think had her about a week or two at this point on loan, So we were just making beginnings, and I was very, very pleased with her, and she really is a cracking horse and turned into a cracking horse. So this is the first time I rode Tina after I bought her in where she currently lives. She was actually in a saddle that didn't really fit her, but I was just having to make do before I could get someone up to see her, as I literally had her 2 days at this point. You can see she's very tensed up in her head. Part of that is the saddle, but part of it is actually my hands and my leg. You can see it is my lower leg is swinging forward a lot and pushing me into a chair seat. She needs to be essentially pushed forward a lot more and encouraged, and you can see she is starting to come round and starting to bend at points. Now, she was a bit fresh and she's a new horse to me, but the biggest thing I can see is that lower leg slipping forward so much. I am in a jump saddle as well, and the saddle not really fitting her doesn't help, and I need to lift and carry my hands, sit back up a bit more and just push her on and get her working into a contact. And you can see she does start to soften a little bit when I'm actually riding corners, because I'm actually thinking of riding properly around my corners.
Good girl.
But she's fighting me a lot. Part of it's because she's not completely comfortable in the saddle. Part of it is because I just need more leg with her to ride her into my hand and to stop leaning forward so much, because you can see I'm in a chair seat here. So these are our more recent clips of Miss Tina. She's in a saddle that fits her. I still need to kind of drop my stirrups down a hole, but I was jumping this day. So with her jumping, it's just doing it kind of slowly and getting her to stay calm. She probably needs bigger fences. She trots over that like it's nothing. This is like tiny for her, not just because it's a small jump, but she's also a huge horse. And then she just clips that with her back feet, I think, there. I don't think there's anything big and nasty to it. So I do a lot of walking with her, purely because she gets so wound up. It's a lot easier to get her to relax in her walk and to calm down. I was also testing my stirrup length there too. But it just makes it a bit easier for me. And so we were jumping out of trot purely because we didn't want to get a rush. We wanted to get a nice jump out of trot. She jumps that lovely, she picks up her canter, canters away in a nicer canter, and we come again. So she's rushing a bit more, she canters away, and you can see she just falls out through her back end. That is probably as much a rider error as everything else, because I am having issues on that rein at the minute, and I know it comes from me, not her. So we're back doing a bit of walk to calm her down. And you can see how she's sort of jogging and starting to fight a little bit. She's not in pain, she's just getting excited because she's doing a couple of jumps. This is what I have to deal with. So we stay in our walk, just get her calm, try and get her to stretch out and relax and concentrate and start to focus again. And asking her to collect and extend her walk, so she's got more to think about than just, I'm going to walk so I can jump. And it's the same thing here, just trying to get her to collect and extend, so she's not just thinking fast and forward. You can see her there, you know, she does jog when she gets excited, she does fight with her head, and keeping her calm and making sure she's jumping safely is very important, so she doesn't just see jumps as these things she can rush at and run at. So we get a bit of trot going, and it's not the most forward trot, but it's quite relaxed and calm for her. It's quite slow, it's got a slow but a even rhythm to it. And then we come to our fence, which she's jumping slightly to the right, which, as I mentioned before with Barney, I'm fairly sure is a rider issue, but she's actually jumping very nicely. We're not having any moments, and that one she just needed a better approach, more leg, and to come in better. More than anything else, that is 100% on me. So here we go again, and you'll see what I mean. She's jumping to the right. That is me. I have always done that, and it's a really bad habit of mine. She jumps that really well. She goes back to her trot very quickly. And same here, jumping to the right. I think she picks up canter stride out there, and then she's back. So this isn't actually jumping her, even though there's two fences set up. I am riding longer, and you can see that. My leg looks to be in a better position. What I'm doing here is trying to get her to work long and low and stretch herself out, because she is a very upright horse sometimes, and she needs to start stretching and relaxing. So just giving her the rein, riding a bit longer, and you can see she is starting to stretch and actually hold herself in her trot. Now, my own position, I need to sort of sit back a bit more. And then on top of that, my legs they're not the best. They do move around a little bit more than I'd like, and they are in a little bit too much of a chair seat. They should be more under me, but that is something I'm working on and conscious on. What is actually a bigger problem for me is my hands. Now you can see here with a longer range she's responding and coming a lot softer and a lot rounder, but my hands do bounce a lot and I'm not as stable in my upper body as I should be. I have an issue currently with tipping forward that I'm trying to resolve. However, you can see here my hands go between straight and bent rather than actually giving her consistent contact to work into. So we have another go at jumping here on a different date. It's still a small cross pole, so it's nothing she can't do. You can see the biggest difference here is she's coming in and cantering the pole and then jumping, and she is being a little bit hesitant. Now we are still slightly to the right. I am trying to work to fix that, and you can see here she's coming in. She does canter that one, but she actually manages it really well, pretty calm, does her poles well. It's coming off her other rein, we start having issues. So she gets over it nicely the first time, and then she starts going sideways. And I know this is actually because what's happening is I'm dropping her with my outside hand on this rein and not holding her enough on my inside. Now, a lot of people would disagree with jumping from essentially a standstill or a horse walking, going sideways. It's not a big fence. She can do halt to canter. It's not the end of the world. Like, she jumps that well, she gets over that nicely, but she is still leaning to the right. And I'm fairly sure the issues with leaning to the right is where we're going wrong on her other rein. You can see there, she just completely goes sideways coming in. She does do this sometimes when she gets excited as well. She'll go sideways into a fence and she's kind of looking and she's basically getting mixed signals. So here's some of her canter work. She has a lovely walk to canter. Been working on it a lot with her and she's very good with it. Now she does have a big canter and I am in my dressage saddle here. So the biggest thing you'll notice is my hands. They bounce a lot and I'm doing my best to try and work on them, but it is hard when you have a horse who's quite big and she can lean a little bit as well. So you can see coming around here, my hands just need to be more stable and I need to carry them more and hold them a little bit higher and encourage her to stretch and work in through her neck and to kind of take up more of the inside rein. I need to sit back a little bit more, and I know I'm not completely secure with my leg that long at the minute. And what we then do is we start working on flying changes, which as well she can do and she's actually quite good at. So with the flying change you need to have a good counter canter, which she does have. I wasn't working on it in any videos, but we have been doing it previously. So she's a good counter canter. She does need a bit of work on her balance, but you can see she's starting to listen and starting to round. So we have a circle there. I don't know what she does over that pole. And you can see she is starting to hold herself and use herself a bit more. You get a bit of trot and more of a simple change there. That is on me not riding her well around her turns more than it is on her. And then you can see her starting to fight a little bit rather than actually come back and listen to me, because she starts rushing and she starts pulling through her head. So on her other rein, it's a pretty similar story in a lot of ways. With her fighting, you can see the canter does change nearly stride by stride because she's like that, and then we get a lovely change there, nice and simple, no big deal made out of it, beautiful change, and she's much more balanced there. And then changes across the middle. She gets this one late, but that is definitely more on me than it is anything else, and she is disunited, so then she goes back and we get a bit of counter canter. And we come again and we're going to try a few more changes. You can see she's starting to collect up a little bit and she does know what's coming. She knows she's going to be asked, so she does accidental tempi changes, and I don't know how I asked for that. She doesn't actually completely change. She changes and changes back, and then she changes again in that corner to put her right. So she tries to change and doesn't quite get it, and then coming around here she gets it there, but I think she does a half change. She's just starting to rush and get a bit unbalanced at this point. I know she's tired as well, so that also is why she's not getting her changes as nicely as she could be. I know I'm not riding her as well at this point either. I'm over exaggerating my aids that I shouldn't be. rather than actually being more subtle and direct. I'm nagging and not being as direct, and then my downwards transitions are absolutely awful, but she did very well there. So poles are obviously really exciting for her. She can trot through them absolutely normally with no issues at all, but sometimes she does this. And she likes to jump poles, which isn't ideal because those are trotting poles and she tries to canter them. So that's when you can see why I'm having the issues with trying to keep her calm and calm her down, which is actually fairly normal for her. So what's being worked on here is our rein back to canter. She has an absolutely beautiful rein back when she decides to do it, and she does it there, and we get our rein back to trot, which was our first step, just to see can we get rein back to a forward pace. So rein back to trot, and then here we are, we come in our walk, we halt, and then we attempt rein back to canter. She also manages to walk into the fence and crush my leg. So I aimed for a bit closer to the corner just to make it a bit easier for her. And then there we go, there's our rein back. And she actually goes, I think she takes a step of trot and she strikes off wrong. However, I was just pleased that she managed to pick up rein back to canter. And here's another one of our walk to canters. She does sort of have a little bit of a jog, half a trot step there. And you can see she is fighting, coming around. That is in part caused by the fact I'm actually dropping my inside hand and not sitting deep and up enough in the canter and not pushing her out with my inside leg. So she's asking kind of to be asked to bend, and she's not being told to bend properly, and I'm letting her fall out. She actually has quite a nice trot here. She does dish a little bit, and then you can see here the falling out through the corner because my hands are not there for her and my leg isn't there to support her, and I'm essentially dropping her coming around the corner. And she likes to have a contact, she likes a soft contact, but she does like a contact, and dropping her around the corners is pushing her balance off. So on her other rein you can see she is a lot better when it comes to her balance. And this is actually my better rein, so I ride her better. The canter is more balanced, purely because I can ride it easier because I am more balanced and I'm not dropping my hands as much. It does mean she is a little bit more one-sided than I would like because of this. But you can see the canter is a lot more balanced, it's not as rushed. And you can see as well she's starting to drop and to relax into it. She does still fight, but I'm there to support her a lot more on this rein, and I sit up a bit taller. And in the trot as well, you can see it's a similar story. She's fighting a little bit, but I'm there to support her so it's easier for her to come round. So thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like, subscribe and hit the little bell thing. Wow, I'm turning into a vlogger. Wow. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone's time, comments, feedback, all that stuff. So thank you. And as well, the Insta is Can't Canter. I have my little treat business, which I haven't sold anything yet because I keep giving out for free, which is Equicandy, on Insta and on Facebook. And Tina also now has a Facebook page, which is A Horse Called Tina. So find us there too. Bye.